First of all, watch the video, the human evolution event link below. I explained in this video that we are facing the first evolution event since the birth of the humans. This event is, in short, the apocalypse or Armageddon described in the Bible and Dead Sea Scrolls. And false Jews, Ashkenazi, called Illuminati, DS, etc. cause the end of the world. They will thoroughly destroy the current civilization and will reduce the population in the name of the New World Order, NWO. Watch the video, False Jews Dominate the World Through Divided and Rule link below. There are various theories in the apocalypse or Armageddon, but most make the prophecy of the second coming of Jesus Christ and the appearance of the Messiah at the end of the world. Moreover, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, two messiahs, the messiahs of Aaron and Israel, appear. An alien Amit says that the will of R, that world created the Dead Sea Scrolls for the human evolution event. The Messiah of Aaron is Donald Trump and the Messiah of Israel is Israeli or their descendant. The mark that the will of R, that world gave to Trump is numbers. He was born in 1946, destined for the number 777, refer to Donald Trump, Jerusalem and the 7th 70 of 70s with 777 of 7s below. And sheeple already worship him as a Messiah. Then, who is the Messiah of Israel? There is the Japanese Jewish Commonwealth theory, which is advocated in the Epitome of the Ancient History of Japan and Illustrations to the Epitome of the Ancient History of Japan published in 1875 to 1878 by Nicholas MacLeod. Refer to Illustrations to the Epitome of the Ancient History of Japan below. MacLeod claimed that the Japanese were descendants of the 10 lost tribes of Israel. This theory gradually spread among the Japanese, and various evidences are now being shown. In addition, some people consider that the Messiah, Savior, in eschatology is the Japanese descendants of the ancient Israelites. And an Ummite says they also thought so. Ummites who have detected that humans are in the evolution event sought a Messiah who is a key person of the event. To find one person from the 6.5 billion world population must be difficult, but an Ummite says that it was not so difficult to find the Messiah out. This is because all they have to do is find a person with similar characteristics to the Messiah who appeared in the evolution event of the Ummites out. It happened in February 2008. Ummites found Japanese who lives in Brazil and has just started his blog in Japanese. It was me. Ummites who intruded my PC as a hacker, stole my archived files and examined them. As a result, Ummites acknowledged that I had similar characteristics to their Messiah and telepathic abilities. Eventually, Ummites were convinced that I was the Messiah that they were seeking. When I noticed the hacker's intrusion, I perceived that the hacker was Ummites because about 10 years before this time, I had borrowed and read a book called Letters from the Alien Ummites. Moreover, the year before this event, I found its updated book with the same title at a Japanese bookstore in Sao Paulo. Then I bought it to read again. It was not by chance. This is because it's conceivable that the will of that world made me read the book and gave me information about Ummites in advance. In addition, Ummites have been hacking my computer since this time and also using telepathy to interfere with my blog posts and videos. The characteristics of the Messiah that Ummites sought are possession of the telepathic ability, single, not young, with extensive life experience, no children, and living in the farthest place from his place of birth. He has a strong sense of independence and lives alone. He wasn't particularly noticeable in his life. And he is a Japanese descendant of the 10 lost tribes of Israel. It is no accident that the internet was used for this search. It should be recognized that the spread of personal computers, smartphones, and the internet, which exposed the NWO conspiracy on behalf of the deep state, DS, dominated media, was prepared by the will of the world for the human evolution event. The crowded consciousness can easily create such technology. Let me talk about me. 3 years after Japan lost the war in World War II, one was born in Yokohama. At that time, most Japanese were poor and my family was part of them. After graduating from a technical high school in 1967, I became interested in the computer business and chose a small electronic office machine maker to get a job, but even it was not just a coincidence. From that time, when even the first microprocessor did not exist, I had the opportunity to become accustomed to handling digital devices. I went to a college while working and continued to be an employee of this company for a while, but around 1976, at that time, I didn't want to end my life with only mundane life in Japan. And at the age of 30, I had the opportunity to immigrate to Brazil, one of the farthest countries from Japan. There were some twists and turns, such as returning to Japan temporarily to get a job, but now I live in Brazil. I've hoped to have a family as much as anyone else. The relationship with the women did not always last long. Mysterious things happened before the relationship with them deepened. I've lost opportunities to get married. Thus I live alone without getting married or living together. My parents have already gone to that world. I have cut off ties with my sisters and have cut off relationships in Brazil. That reason is that it is essential as the ruler of the new civilization. The exact opposite of Trump, I'm petite. Also, I try not to eat junk food and try to get fit. I have never been a celebrity and have lived a normal and unobtrusive life. Of course, no one has called me a messiah, and I have never thought of it myself. Moreover, my numbers, which are a mark of the messiah, are sober compared to Trump. For example, my mother was born on February 2, 1922, 2222, but my number who's born in 1948, the year of the founding of Israel, is 666. It's a little complicated story. There is the notion that Solomon's third temple must be rebuilt before the second coming of Jesus Christ, that is to say before the Great Tribulation, human evolution event. But even now, the third temple does not exist in Jerusalem. Meanwhile, in 2014, a Christian cult called UCKG completed the Temple of Solomon in São Paulo, Brazil. Refer to Temple of Solomon, São Paulo, below. This temple is the long-awaited third temple for the false Jews to complete their NWO. So why was São Paulo chosen as its rebuilt site? It's because I live there. Of course, false Jews are not aware of it. It means that the will of that world ordered them to make it. I was born on October 20, 1948. The previous day that Passover holiday in 2014 ended on April 21, I turned 66 years and 6 months old, 666. According to some theory, the temple must be rebuilt in the land of Israel, but if it was built in another country like Brazil, it is for the Antichrist. In other words, it is the settlement of the Antichrist, namely, I. So why am I the Antichrist? I must be the Antichrist to the religionists because I deny the existence of gods. However, I'm an Orthodox descendant of the Jews, Sephardi, and a new human. Furthermore, I have a similar idea to NWO about the social system of the new civilization. Now let me touch on the new civilization, namely, Millenarianism. Refer to Millenarianism below. I am the Antichrist and at the same time, the Messiah and a new human. Christ was also a Savior and a new human. Such I rule the millennial kingdom on behalf of Christ would be consistent with the Bible's account. Of course, the second coming of Jesus Christ, who went to that world more than 2,000 years ago, is a fantasy created by the will of that world, but the soul of Jesus must have been reincarnated many times after that. Maybe its soul has reincarnated in me because I have the mission to rule the new civilization, which was given by the will of that world. In addition, there is nothing absolutely impossible in this world, which is the illusion created by the crowded consciousness. If I could have powerful telepathic abilities, it would be possible that I perform even the miracle of Jesus Christ. Now, let me reveal new information about their intervention that I got from the Ummites. According to Ummites, it was the Morse code sent by a Norwegian vessel offshore of the Earth in 1934 that they get to know about Earth. Its signal pierced the ionosphere and drifted in space, and it was received in 1949 by the Ummites, who lives on Ummo, about 15 light-years away from the Earth. Ummites identified its source and decided to conduct a field survey. The first visit of the Ummites to Earth was in 1950. So, in the 1980s, they began to intervene in humans by attempting to arbitrate between then President Reagan and President Gorbachev to prevent the extinction of the humans by nuclear weapons. However, after that, Ummites was disappointed with the reaction of the humans and withdrew from the Earth. Ummites understood that the received signal was a theorem about square. Later, due to the circumstances of the Ummites needed to intervene in humans. I explained their circumstances in the Human Evolution Event video. It is the intervention by the conflicts of consciousness. As a method, they claimed that the meaning of the signal was a square fighting ring. Which means it was the letter of challenge that the will of that world sent to Ummites. An Ummite says they intervened to accept this challenge of the humans. Moreover, they claim to be the Messiah of Aaron. Once upon a time, Ummites were aware that their civilization was declining. The evolution event, which could resolve its situation, has not occurred no matter how much time goes, thus they had a sense of danger because of their extinction risk. Therefore, they tried to intervene in humans on the basis of the conflicts of consciousness theory and take advantage of the opportunity of the humans' evolution to achieve their evolution. It was just recently, August 2021. Ummites realized that their evolution event, which is considered not been occurring, had actually begun, and an Ummite told me about it. In other words, the will of that world of the Ummites may have made them aware. So the human evolution event was also the evolution event of the Ummites, and the two events were in progress at the same time. In the process of the evolution of the universe, that world, crowded consciousness, of organisms with intelligence are fused into fused consciousness gradually, referred to. Why is the standard cosmological model wrong? Consciousness created the universe below. An Ummite says that this fused consciousness controls the will of that world of the humans and Ummites. Incidentally, that worlds of the humans and Ummites are also fused into the fused consciousness in the future. There are countless that worlds in the universe, but those do not exist in a disorderly but in a hierarchy. This is new information. So an Ummite argues that the fused consciousness ordered the wills of that world of the humans and the Ummites to do the conflicts of consciousness. He says that the two wills of that world are cooperating to carry out the conflicts of consciousness. If that is the case, I can understand why Trump, the Messiah of Aaron, who founded the US Space Force and will fight against Ummites, was born in 1946 before the first visit of the Ummites. And the true reason for their intervention is that the fused consciousness ordered them to do. However, they have not been aware of it. This information is interesting, but even after getting it, our situation doesn't change. It is because I cannot accept the conflicts of consciousness theory of the Ummites, even if I admit that the theory of the Ummites, the universe is an illusion created by the crowded consciousness and the consciousnesses of all organisms with intelligence eventually fused into only one fused consciousness, is much better than the cosmology of the humans, which presupposes the existence of matter. In the first place, does fusion of the consciousnesses mean that the crowded consciousness, which is advantageous only by the advanced technology and evolution level, swallows the evolving consciousness? I don't think so. Evolution in spirit is more important than that. In other words, the fusion should be preceded by a higher spiritual level consciousness. Mites, who intervenes in humans with selfish motivation, will not have such consciousness. Mites emphasizes that the conflicts of consciousness between humans and mites is not happening by accident, but it is proceeding in the fusion of the consciousnesses scenario. An Mite argued that the verification of the theory of the conflicts of consciousness and their intervention in humans is essential for solving the mystery of the crowded consciousness of the organisms with intelligence and the evolution of the universe. So they force it on humans. No matter how I blame or preach reconciliation, Mites only ignore them and continue to attack us. According to Mites, their first evolution event began that their Messiah defeats a cruel female tyrant of the the planet of the Mites. An Mite says that so many people died in the process of the war and their civilization was massively destroyed. And it was the Messiah who ruled the new civilization after this event. The human evolution event is occurring in a similar scenario. The female dictator is DS, and the Messiah of them is me. Since this event, seems to be ruled by absolute rulers. Organisms with intelligence, which have evolved and obtained the telepathic ability, are controlled by each will of that world. And they control each ruler. Therefore, such rulers do not carry out misgovernment or tyranny. As we have already experienced, ideological politics such as democracy cause misgovernment and only result in chaos. In addition, regarding the new civilization, which is ruled by the ruler of the new humans, refer to about new civilization by the new humans. In the first evolution event of the Mites, mass death and complete destruction of civilization occurred. It will happen in their new evolution event. This is because, according to Mites, the organisms with intelligence in this world will decrease on a whole universe scale, and their souls fuse into the only one fused consciousness. In other words, evolution events occur to fuse the souls. Incidentally, the true intention of the Mites to take over the souls of the humans would be there. If they could soul-jack all races, organisms with intelligence, in the universe, their crowded consciousness could survive to the end, and they take over the only one fused consciousness. That's exactly the ambition of the Mites. I have no idea in what scenario their mass death and civilization destruction will occur. It may be due to the battle with us, or it may be due to their civil war. Or it may be possible that a battle with another race, alien, will occur. It is because an Mite said there are several different races is coming to observe the human evolution event. The intervention of the Mites in humans must be a major project for the entire race. According to French physicist Jean-Pierre Petit, whose life work is the research on Mites are less self-assertive, more group-oriented, and more totalitarians. I used to say that Mites have a group-oriented culture of insects. I think there is a consensus of the whole Mites in this project. In addition, an Mite said Petit is under control of the DS. I have already been telepathically attacked for more than 5 years. From my experience, I consider it's not easy that they're soul-jack of the humans by telepathy. Therefore, Mites would have no choice but to fight Trump's Space Force. Needless to say, Mites have overwhelmingly advantageous science and technology over us. They can control the information on the internet. My blogs and videos are under their control. Thus an Mite said that they could take control of the humans with several hundreds of the Mites on Earth. Even if it's true, still they would make massive sacrifices be as a whole. In that case, a traitor against the intervention may appear. This traitor may be exactly the Messiah in the evolution event of the Mites. If a civil war happens, Mites will have a bigger problem than the intervention. As a result, their reckless conflicts of consciousness would be abandoned. This is just one of the hopeful scenarios, but if so, the true Messiah of Aaron may not be Trump, but them, their Messiah, as might claim. No one knows the outcome of the human evolution event that mites are intervening. Even fused consciousness could not know the future of the universe. In any case, humans have no choice. We only fight mites.